So, in the last video we looked at how I achieved my first ever GT World Challenge podium to round off my 2024 season, and in that video I mentioned we'd take at some point a deep dive and analyse the actual race stints, look at the onboard, see what happened, because there was a lot of crazy shit that happened. So I thought it'd be a great idea to put a montage together of all the overtakes I made during the race, and there was quite a few. There was way more than I expected, to be honest. And yeah, for full context then, we were in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia in a McLaren 720S GT3 Evo racing for Garage 59. So let's get into it, let's assess my racecraft and get into some overtakes. Okay, we're getting straight into this. So this is the outlap of my first race stint. So I joined the race and I'm straight behind the Lamborghini. So going into turn 22, he goes a bit deep, so I know, right, there's an opportunity here already to make a move. So at a T23, I've got a nice run in his slipstream. You can see the red hot exhaust of that Lamborghini, and you can hear the engine screaming as we're approaching the final corner. Gonna go for an outside line. I want him to hold this really tight so I get a good exit off the final corner and get him on the straight. That's what I'm thinking here. And then as we're going through the last corner, he struggles for traction. We've just joined the race, both of us, so our tyres are slightly cold. Obviously they're not fully cold. We have tyre warmers in GT World Challenge, but we got the inside there, get a good run on the straight. He's still there, so I do need to make sure I brake in the right point for turn one. Not too early, not too late. And you can see we brake probably about right. He goes way too late, and we get the move done there. So that's one position gain. That was crucial because it was at the start of the stint. Didn't want to get held up at all. I wanted to make sure I had a clean bit of track ahead of me to begin my race stint. And so this was after the first full course yellow, which turned into a safety car. This was the restart. So I was right at the back because we were about to get lapped. Then I got a wave by that put us back into the race. And then effectively joined the back of the queue. So I had every single car, every 40 cars or 45 cars right in front of me. So here was a great opportunity to really make some headway and make some overtakes and try and get ourselves back in the race. Because our first stint with Mark at the wheel put us quite a way back due to just fuel saving and a strategic error. So you can see there under full course yellow, a Lamborghini failed to slow down in time for the full course yellow, hit the BMW in front of him, carbon debris everywhere. I did manage to avoid it, thankfully, but that was an overtake, so that counts. And yeah, obviously the BMW that he hit had big damage as well, so he had to box, and there was another full course yellow after that, another safety car. So we're at the back of the pack, race restart, all the cars are bunched up, another opportunity to make some moves. So going into turn one, behind this other Barwell Lamborghini going into turn one, we braked super late actually. I didn't think we were going to go for that, I forgot that happened, but we did go for that, and quite happy with that one because yeah, we were quite far back, so had to be fairly punchy on the brakes, which on a safety car restart with coldish tyres and coldish brakes, yeah, that was pretty good. So going through the first sector, through the S's, following this Ferrari, we clearly have a bit more pace. You can see we've caught him quite quickly, and it's hard to gauge at this stage who's got what driver in the car, right, because there's different gradings of driver. So there's bronze, silver, gold and platinum. One of the key things I'm doing, you can see we're getting squeezed to the wall here by this Sky Ferrari. Going up the inside into T13. The Ferrari in front of us, I think, was in his mirrors too much because it gave us way too much room. And we do actually pull off there a double overtake. So 2 for 1 there, that was good. And as I was saying, the driver gradings is one of the key things I look at when I'm behind a car. So I read the sticker that you can see on their rear bumper, and it says either bronze, silver, gold or pro. And that will indicate to me roughly what level of driver I'm up against, which will dictate how I approach the situation. You don't always know, so say if it says bronze on it, there could be a pro in a bronze cup car, so it can be a bit misleading, but it's what's going through my head anyway, and I find it quite useful. So we caught, after passing those two cars, then we caught the trainer cars ahead of them. There was like a 2-second gap, and we're straight onto the back of this Porsche. We seem to get a good tow here, decent straight line speed. One thing I noticed with the BOP is we had good acceleration, but our top end was a bit weak, so it did make overtakes a little bit harder to make happen. So you can see there's a bit of a congested bunch up here with all these cars, and it's an endurance race. It's a 6-hour race, or it was a 6-hour race, so I was very, very cautious at points, just making sure no damage, because, you know, unlike the sim, if I do clip the front and burst a radiator pipe, for example, we're out of the race. So you can see this Aston's all over the place. We are losing a lot of time, but there's just no room. I mean, if I stick my nose in, it's undoubtedly going to end in an accident. So I set up that last left of Sector 1 as best I could to get a good run all the way down to turn 13. You can see we're in the toe here of the Audi, which does help slightly, and we're going to opt for the outside line here. Fortunately, the grip on the outside of T13 was pretty good, and we were committed round the outside and somehow did another double overtake at T13. So another 2 moves done there, which was very unexpected. And at this point I was like, the adrenaline was pumping. I was like, right, we are making some good progress here, which was just really fun. You know, obviously doing a stint in a race car on your own is really good, but when you're with other cars and you're making moves and defending, and it's just different, man. It's just different. So caught up the next bunch of cars, another Porsche. You can see what I'm talking about with that initial acceleration is really good. We're in the toe, and the top end sort of levels out, but I think he was letting us go there. He braked super early, saw us catch him very quickly, and was smart about it. There was no point fighting that one. So that's the thing as well. Every driver's different. Every driver approaches defending differently. You know, some drivers might really defend hard. Others might think it's not really my race. I'm gonna continue without fighting him, so I'll let him go. So still behind this green and black Porsche, and we've managed together to catch the next bunch of cars. You can see this green Porsche is a silver, so I know he's at least a silver graded driver, so he's not going to be easy to overtake, you know, compared to say a bronze. So I do have to have that in mind. So he's going to go through, move up the inside of the Aston. We're going to sneak through. Yeah, I think the Aston maybe had a problem there, or he just didn't want to fight. But we do manage to sneak through there, quite opportunistic that move, and again stick behind this silver Porsche. Let's catch the next train of cars, not lose too much time in the process, and just keep making progress. I mean, at this point we're only like half an hour into my race stint, 20 minutes, half an hour, and we've made a fair few moves already. So yeah, when you're overtaking in GT3 and in real life, the dirty air is insane, and the time loss is pretty insane as well. So we're going up the inside of this Porsche. Finally, we get the move done. Leave a bit of space on the inside, otherwise there is the risk of, you see a bit of carbon debris on the exit of T2 there, but you do risk, if I squeeze in there, a bit of contact, and it ruins your race. Like in the sim, I feel like damage is very lenient for the most part, whereas in real life, the weirdest stuff can happen. You know, if you made side-by-side contact and you broke the door hinge, you wouldn't be able to carry on because you wouldn't be able to get the door open for the pit stop. So it's stuff like that. You just have to be extra cautious in real life. And yeah, back to the dirty air then. So it costs you so much time, even in GT3. Obviously in Formula 1, people always go on about it because it's so aero-dependent, but the GT3s of today are very aero-dependent as well. And if you're stuck behind a car in Sector 1, you're going to lose like 3-4 tenths if they're not as quick as you want them to be. It's just, there's nothing you can do. So back in the final corner there behind this Porsche, Bronze Cup Porsche. I think this is the Porsche that Kevin Estre drives in this championship actually. Don't think he's driving at this point, I think it's the other gold. We got a good run out the final corner, we brake super late into turn 1 and managed to pull off a move around the outside. So that was a gold rated driver, so I will take that. That was good. And the car at this point felt well balanced, pretty strong on the BOP as well. I felt in a good groove. I was driving well, I'd say, at this point. You know, I wasn't making too many mistakes. I wasn't overdriving. I wasn't underdriving either. I was committing. I was smooth with the pedals, which you can see on the screen. You know, the left-hand side is the throttle, right-hand side is the brake, which is a bit weird because in real life, obviously, the throttle's on the right and the brake's on the left. But you know, the green and the red indicators do help us with that. And yeah, you can see I hit the brakes. I don't go crazy hard on the brakes. I just get to a point where I'm just in the ABS and then I trail off smoothly, and then I'm patient with the throttle. And you can see in the last corner there with the Aston, made a good move up the inside. So I think the other key thing with real racing as well is the rubbered line. So that can change throughout a race, and it could be in the most weird places. It's not always the theoretical racing line. So like T13, where I made both double overtakes, or the last corner, the line was a bit different to how I thought it would be, just because the rubber had got laid down in that way. So you had to exploit. You had to go and find where the grip was and then just remember and just repeat it lap by lap. So approaching, or midway through Sector 1 then, we caught this Aston quite quickly. I think this might be a bronze rated driver we're behind right now, and although it's a Gold Cup car, so maybe he's just got an issue and he's struggling. We're losing a lot of time in Sector 1 here, but as I say, with the dirty air and the GT3 cars are quite wide, there's just nothing you can do. So again, I made sure to set up the final corner of Sector 1 because there's a straight after it, and I knew if there's a straight I can get the run, got the inside and finally get past. So not ideal though, losing like a second, 2 seconds there, but that's just the nature of traffic. Sometimes you get it really easy, sometimes you do suffer quite a lot. So next up then, we've got 2 Lamborghinis. Again, caught them quite quickly. The raw pace was really good. In my debrief video you would have seen that I showed my raw pace compared to some of the other top drivers, and it was right in the mix. It was, you know, literally sharing tenths with some factory drivers and stuff. So compared to some of the other drivers in the midfield and at the back, there was clearly a pace advantage, which was, it made things a bit easier. It just allowed me to set things up a bit easier, and he's got his indicator on, so I think he's just gonna let me go. So again, maybe he had a problem, or I don't know, that was a bit strange. You don't really see too many cars with their indicators on. And yeah, so other things about Jeddah with the McLaren, so it was like we were running medium wing, so we were fairly quick on the straights, but we had enough wing to stabilise the car under braking and through some of the medium high speed. And yeah, throughout the stint as well, the brakes were wearing quite a lot. So when the brakes wear with ABS, you just have to brake less. So you don't want to be in the ABS as much because the ABS triggers way earlier. So I just basically, as the stint went on, I just had to drive smoother. And you can see there, the Lamborghini in front probably over-defended into turn 1. We weren't going to go for a move that far back, but yeah, that helped us. I mean, it allowed us to get closer to him, but it does mean we're going to get held up now in Sector 1. So I believe this is the crucial overtake for P3 in class, which is where we ended up finishing. And it took me a while to get past this Lamborghini. It took me, I'd say, 20 minutes to get past. So you can see there we had a really good run on the way down to the final corner, got really close. We set it up, we've got a nice run now going down to turn 1. He's still there on the inside though, so I can't just turn in and defend. So I'm braking as late as I can to make the corner. He brakes even later, sort of outbrakes himself, but manages to keep it on the road. Blocks off T2 and nothing I can do. So I mean, he might have gone off the track, but I'd say overall that's just good defending, to be honest. It's just hard racing. So it does mean I have to stay behind him for another lap and lose more time in Sector 1 in the dirty air. So approaching again on the same lap, the last corner, in the tow, going up the inside to just show him there. We're going to outbrake him. He does jink to the left at the last minute, but I'm going to commit, get to the apex. The tight line was really grippy in the last corner anyway, and we get the move done. So you can see here I'm slightly weaving just to try and break the tow because he was quite close, but I managed to hold him off there, and we got the move. So at this point I was P3 in class, P22 overall. And that was a bit strange. Actually, no, wait there. Let me rewind that quickly. I remember that. I haven't thought about that since the actual time I did it. So going down on the run to T22, there was a... Holy shit, I've completely forgot that happened. So you can see there's a bit of rubber or debris on the racing line, and I jink going at really high speed to avoid it. Whoa, that could have ended badly. Wow. Anyway, approaching the back of this, I think it's a Ferrari. And he's, yeah, clearly having maybe a problem where he's off the pace or something, but I think he might have had a puncture, actually, which is why he was so slow, but we get through. Didn't lose too much time there. And yeah, as I say, at this stage we're P3 in class, in the top 25 overall. And that's exactly where we finished. So P22 overall, P3 in class, a lot of overtakes, and by far the most I've pulled off in a single race before. Absolutely wild race, man. I mean, thankfully those overtakes got us into the position we ended up finishing, so that they were crucial overtakes, which makes them even more important for the result. at the highest level of GT racing, literally GT World Challenge, the best GT drivers in the world. It just blows my mind that a lot of what I've learned from that simulator over there has now given me the tools to actually mix it at that level. Just think it's absolutely mental. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. If you did, leave a like, sub to the channel if you really enjoyed it. If you want to see a detailed breakdown of the race from my POV, then click here and it'll take you to my debrief video where you can watch that and see exactly what else happened in the race. But yeah, I'll catch you all real soon. So see you next time.